Welcome to Positive Productivity, episode number 141.
Welcome to Positive Productivity Podcast, where we empower our audience to achieve and appreciate personal and professional success, especially in the face of adversity. Listen in as our guests reveal their stories of challenges and hurdles and how they overcame defeat and became triumphant in their endeavors. Let's get motivated and move forward with your host, Kim Sutton.
Have you ever looked back at a situation in your life, maybe one that was particularly stressful or difficult, and realized there was a reason that that event took place? I do this all the time, and I've realized that everything does happen in due time. It's so easy to get caught up in the want for everything that we desire to happen right now. However, when we're patient, what's supposed to happen does happen in due time. Although not at all small business or entrepreneur related, I was chatting with my husband last night about my son Jacob. Yesterday was his 15th birthday, and I was reminiscing about the fact that his labor was only 2 hours from start to finish. He was my first child, and therefore my first experience with childbirth. And I remember when I got to the hospital, the nurses wanted to check me out and do blood work and all that medical stuff. Seeing as it was my first time, I was already a little bit uncomfortable, considering I was in labor. However, I knew in my heart that I was probably further along than they even realized. Long story short, I was only in the hospital for a half hour before Jacob was born, and the doctor hadn't even made it to the hospital yet. They actually had to call a doctor up from the ER to deliver him. Dave and I often talk about if we had met earlier, how awesome it would have been if we could still have the awesome children that we have today. And as we were discussing Jacob last night, I started laughing because I realized if Dave and I had been married at that point, or even just together, and he had been the one driving me to the hospital to deliver Jacob, then Jacob would have been born in the car. Not to call out my husband or anything, but he doesn't drive the speed limit. He drives 5 to 10 miles per hour lower than the speed limit. Everything was supposed to happen with Jacob, including the fact that I was married to his dad, exactly how it turned out. Had it not been for my relationship with Jacob's dad, I wouldn't have moved to Ohio, and in the long run, most likely wouldn't have met Dave, at least when I did. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that a lot has happened in the 7 years since Dave and I have been together, including the creation of my companies and the addition of 3 more children to our family. Yes, we've had our struggles, and plenty of them, but every one of those struggles has taught us something very important. While we haven't achieved all the goals that we have wanted to achieve or even want to achieve, we are fully aware that our goals are constantly changing, and sometimes bigger goals are met just because we didn't have our eyes open for them. Life can be hard. We face struggles that are unimaginable and sometimes horrific. However, everything does happen when it's supposed to happen. If you're facing something particularly difficult right now, please know that I am sending you big hugs and encouragement. However, please just remember, in due time, everything that's supposed to happen will happen. If you are facing a struggle, consider the ways that you can turn that struggle around to help others. In the end, that struggle will have been far worth it, and perhaps you can help somebody else avoid that struggle themselves. Now, with that said, go forth and have a positive and productive day. Hey there, this is Kim Sutton, host of the Positive Productivity Podcast, and I just want to take a quick moment to thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it and were inspired, I would love to hear your feedback. please take a moment or two and visit the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or on my website at thekimsutton.com to leave your rating or review. I'd also like to invite you to join the Positive Productivity Book Club and to find out more about my coaching packages by visiting thekimsutton.com. Until the next episode, I hope you have a positive and productive day.